Hey, what's up guys? Last time we saw how we can delete a contact and we remove it from the list without refreshing on the server. So you can come here and say, okay, let's delete GGTG, and you're gonna get removed from here. Now in this one, let's go ahead and update a contact. So when we click the edit button, we can come here, find all the data pre-filled, maybe change a picture if we wanted to, and also maybe change this and be able to update this contact. So what we'll do is on the navigate. So if you go to the contact detail, so when a user clicks edit contact, we navigate to the create contact, but we go with the contact that we are viewing right now. So what we want to do is we want to go to the screen for create contact, which is here. Now, you know how we have the form to contain the details as the user enters them. So we are also going to set the form value whenever we come here with the contact from the detail. So down here, I'm going to come here and add a use effect. For the dependencies, we can have none because every time we come here, we'll be sure the component will have rendered. So what we want is we want to pick the params. So like we saw before, we can pick params by doing use route. So here we can have use route. So use route. Let's import it. Then we want to get params. So now here we can check if we have params.contact. So we can do if params. Remember, they can be undefined, so you want to make sure the check is now safe or undefined safe. I don't know if that's technical. So you want to check if params is there. Now let's make sure we're importing use effect. So if we have it there, then we want to update the form. So we update the form by using set form like this. Set form. Then we want to set the form to the new contact. So now if we did params dot, actually this should be contacts, not params, contact. If we did params dot contact, you will note that here in the JavaScript, the way we are setting this is we have name and then the value, but the name is always in camel case. So if we took a closer look at the create contact component, you'll see that whenever we call like on change text, we send the camel case version. So you see, this is all camel case. So we need a way to first transform our contact to camel case. So now we can come here and do some destructuring. So we'll do const first name. So to get the first name from the contact, of course it's going to be params.contact like this. But now we want to be renaming this, so we can use this syntax here to get the version of it that's in camel case. So like this. So now here we can set the form. So let's get everything in the form so we don't reset it. Then we want to add the first name like this. So when we save, so let's say now we came through here and clicked edit contact, you see that it's not showing, and that's because we want to make these inputs now controlled, since we were going to be explicitly setting the values somewhere else. So we're gonna go to the create contact component, and then here we need to specify a value. So value like this. So this is going to be form dot first name or empty, because at first there won't be any first name. So we'll do something like this. Now let's try to do it again. Oh, it's already appearing here. So now if we went, let's say we clicked on a new test and went on edit, you said we have new there. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for the other properties on a contact. So now we can have phone number. So that's gonna be phone underscore number. So this here will be phone number. Then let's make sure we are setting the phone number. Let's do the same thing for the last name. Okay, so another thing we want to set is favorite. So for is favorite, we can also do is underscore favorite. Then of course we can rename it to is favorite. Then now we use our own is favorite. All right. So for the picture, so let's say a contact had a picture, we want to be checking if this contact had a picture, and then if they do, then we want to be setting the, I believe we called it something like local file. So I'm going to move this one on top. So I'll move it here like this. So now here we can check if this contact has a picture. So we can check if params.contacts.contact picture. We want to set the local file to that picture. So we can do set local file to this picture. So I'm going to just bring it in like this. Okay, so save it. Now let's say we came here, we need to make sure all these are controlled. So I'm gonna go down here. So where we have the other inputs, we can now make them controlled. So this will be last name. So when we do last name, you see it also goes there. Let's do the same thing for the phone number. So for the is favorite, if you take a look at how is favorite is working, we have value. So meaning that if this was true, this should be like this. So about the country picker, currently if we passed something like this, let's say we passed something like AD, it would be giving us the flag for AD. So we need a way to get the code for the current country. So right now, if we came here and check the country code, so I'm gonna come here and also destructure the country code and also call it country code. Then I will also set it to the form. I will console log it down here so we see what we are working with. So you will see that the app crashes. So I'm gonna first remove it so we see exactly what we have. So I will go to my console. So now let's say we came here and clicked add contact. You see that this is a number. This is the phone code and not the country code. So what we want is to be able to get the country code. So something like AB from this if we have the phone code. So here on GitHub, I have this gist here. So let me expand it so we see what it has. So basically we have a JavaScript file that has countries, and then these countries have calling codes as the value. So now you will see that here, if we came here, you see that each of these has a value. So this value is the calling code. Now we can use this calling code to get the key. Okay, so now you can come here and download this file. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy everything in here. So let me just go to raw and copy everything. Now I'll go to the utils and create a file called country codes.js. I want to make sure it's country codes. So in here we can have this file. Then of course we are exporting it. Let's see, we export default this. Now remember here in the log we have something like 367. So if you came here and search for something like 367, you see that it gives us Andorra. So what we want is to be able to search for this in this file and return the key, something like AD or the flag. Okay, so how do we do that? So we're gonna come here. So we're gonna come here and find an item here that has the calling code for this. But remember, our calling codes don't have the plus, so we want to escape the plus. So the way we can do that is here we can just have a const country equals. So you remember we called the file country codes. So we can do country codes. Since we want one, we can do find like this. Now remember, we want to find by the code which we already have here. So now we can come here and do item. Then we want to have a body here. So here, remember, we need to first remove the plus from the value. So here we can say return item dot value. Then we want to replace. So since it's 1, we can just replace the plus with empty. So now we want to return the country where the value equals to our current value. So now you can say equals params.contacts.country code, which you already have here. So I'm going to bring country code here and save. Actually, I'm going to console log the country here. Let's come here. Yeah, so you see that we have the country here. Now we want to return the country dot the key, since we are interested in this key that when passed this component will be able to show the flag. So here we can do a simple check. So we can do if country. Okay, so now that we have the country, we can say set form. So we want to get the previous state, so we can get the previous state by doing prev. Now for the previous state, we want to return a new object, so we can do return, not retry, so return a new object that has the previous state, and now we can change the country code. So you can say country code, we set it to our country dot flag or dot key. Then we want to be able to make it uppercase, so to uppercase. Alright, like this. So when we save here and come back to the app, you see that now it's picking the flag. So let's say we went ahead and chose another contact. So let's choose this one at the end, go to edit, and you see that now it's picking the flag and it's getting all this other information. So it's probably a good idea that we keep setting our forms like this. So this is actually a better way, because it will always make sure that every other write to that very state will have changed. So similarly, we're going to do the same thing here. So we just replace this instead. Okay, like this. So that's a better way of doing it. Otherwise, you might be running into like state update issues. But now this is good. So now that we have this, a user should still be able to go ahead and choose a picture. So let me go ahead and choose one. So when we choose, you see it also updates. So now if we change this to his favorite, the form should still update normally or as normal. So let's console log the form here to make sure that it is getting every other state change. Also, let's update the local file to make sure that it's also updating. So local file. Alright, so now when you click submit, we should be making an update to the server. But if we have a new picture here, we should also be able to upload it to the server. So how do we be able to check if the picture was updated? So we're gonna come here where we have the on submit, or when the user clicks the submit button. So every time we have the size here, we will know that the picture was updated like now, and then that means we need to first upload it. So here I'm going to have a check to make sure that if we are updating. So we can check if we are updating by doing params dot contact. So every time we have a contact in the parameters, that means we are updating. Or we can even use the other is editing param that we sent. So when we have this, we want to check if we have the file. So if the file had changed. So we want to check if the file had changed. Also, I'm actually going to copy the all of this, and I will add this in the else. Let me also make sure the else is closed. So whenever we are updating, I'm going to actually bring the same thing here for this block. So every time we have the size, we are going to upload and then do this. This should also be in the else, like this. Let's also have an else there. Now we need to have the same thing in the editing. So I'm going to copy, let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to copy all this. So copy, then I'll bring it here like this. So every time the picture had changed, then we want to go ahead and upload it. Then after we upload it, then we can go ahead and create contact here. So what we want here is not to create a contact, but to edit contact. So we can do edit contact. Also, whenever we don't have the file, or the file has not changed, we want to call edit contact as normal. So we can do that here. So we can also do edit contact every time the user is submitting without changing the picture. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the create contact action. So we're gonna go to actions. So the edit contact action. So we're gonna go to actions, which is here. Then let's go ahead and duplicate create. Now we can call it edit contact. It's typically going to be almost the same, but we want to change the types because when we update, we don't want to make another call to the server for updated contact, but rather we want to go in the reducers and make the update there. So I'm gonna go and update this. So let me select all these types. Then I'm going to change create to edit. All right. So one thing you'll notice that whenever we are editing, we are not going to only be sending the form, but also the ID. So I'm going to have another param here for ID. So So whenever we are now editing, we want to make a put request. Now here we want to use these backticks so that we can supply some dynamic parameters. So now we can pass the ID here like this, and when it's successful, it's going to update our app and tell the app that it updated. So now we need to handle this in our edit. So we're going to go in our reducers. So we're going to go to the reducers. Then we're going to now handle these types. So they are going to be edit, fail, load, and stuff. Okay, so for the edit, we want to handle when we are updating. So we can have edit contact loading like this. So there we're going to be changing edit contact. So since we are going to be using the state like here to change the loading on this button, we can still use the create contact state here. So we can do create contact. So we turn it to true again. Then let's work on the when it fails. Let's do when it fails. So for the fail, so edit contact fail. So for the fail, we want to turn this one to false. Now let me remove these here so we see exactly how we are doing it. Let's make sure we need to import those. So for the success, I'm going to copy the same case so we handle the success. So remember, on success, we want to update that very item in our contact list with the new data that has been saved on the server. So the way we can do that is we're going to now set, of course, when we finish updating, so we can have edit contact success. We are going to set create contact loading to false, but at that point we want to update our contact list. So what you can do is, since the contact list is at get contacts, I believe, like this, I'm going to actually bring this one in. So that means that every time we update successfully, we're going to we are going to change the create contact set and also the list. Okay, so for the list, we want to get all the data that is there, and then we want to map. So we can do map. So now the map, we can check if the item.id, so we can do item.id equals the ID of the one that has been updated on the server, which will be paid. Now, when it is the one that has been updated on the server, we want to return the updated one. So we can return the updated one. So the updated one will be, of course, now the payload. Else, we want to return the item as is. We don't want to be able to change it. So we're going to be changing only the one that has been updated on the server, but the one that has not been, we don't want to touch it. So let's go ahead and create the types. So we're going to go here. Now let's add the types to edit. We can just copy paste this. Then let's rename here to edit contact. Like this, save it. So if we come here, this should now, we can now import it. Let's import them like this. Also edit contact success. Now let's also import edit contact fail like this. So when we save, see that the errors go away. Now here, we need to make sure we are importing the correct action. So we can import edit contact. But now we need to pass the ID of the item we want to update as the second parameter here. So I'm going to put a comma and pass the ID. So we can get the ID now from the params.contact.id. So let's just do that. Params.contact.id like that. Then we want to make sure even when they are not changing the picture, we are also passing it. So here we can put a comma and also pass it. Alright, so when everything is successful, we want to be going to the detail page. Now at this point in time, we are not going to be going to the list, so we can go to the detail page. So that's going to be contact detail, but now we are going to be navigating with the contact. So I'm not sure what we called it, so I'm going to go to the contact detail and see how we called it. So we call it item. Okay, so here we're going to make sure that when a server updates, we are sure it sends us the response with the updated contact. Whenever we update on the server, we are going to be sending it in our callback. So here every time we update successfully and we call this function, we're going to be passing in res.data. So here we can come in and pass res.data like this. Also, let's console log it to make sure we know what we are working with. So when we pass it, let's come back here. We can now expect it in the onSuccess callback. Let's say, we can even say item here, and then here we pass item like that. Also, let's do the same thing for here. Pass item like that. Make sure we expect it. So now, if we come back, let's now restart the app and see where we are. So it's gonna reload. So let's redo it. So now if we came here, let's create a new one. So new user. Let's have some number, some phone number. Then I'm gonna submit. So you see that when it creates, it navigates here. Now when we click edit contact, notice that we come here and we find all our information there. So now what I want to do is I want to try to update it. So remember, it's new user. So to update it, remember we expect it to change. So here if I come and put some like numbers, user 44. Also I'm going to change the number. I will also update the country to this Argentina. So also change it to true. So if I save, notice we didn't add the picture. So if I save, I'm gonna go here in this action and add a console log here for the ID. Oh, we also have the res data. So yeah, if I save like this, you see it's now saving, and when it finishes to save, notice that it navigates here with the number, with the new details. All right. So if we came here, we expect to find the new details, which we have here, and the country updates. And also notice that the add favorite is also checked now, meaning that that contact was added to favorite successfully. So what we want to make sure we are doing is that we are updating it in the list without making another call. So if we come to our list here, that contact should be this one. So you see it also updates even in the main list. So that is done through how we are handling the edit contact success on this case. So you see on this case, we turn it to false, and also we turn the create to false, but we update the list to use the new one from the server. So you will notice that whenever we save res.data, it is basically the new saved object, which we navigate with. So now let's check for when we have a profile picture. When a user adds a picture, let's check if it's working. So let's say a user came and said, okay, I want this person to have this picture. So I'm gonna save. So if we saved, let's turn it to true and save. You see that nothing's happening. So that means that it's failing, but we need to know where it's failing from. So let's try to examine. So you're saying if we have this set uploading to true, which we are doing, then upload. So it's either failing here. So let's add a console log to see if there is an error there. Okay, so let's retry. You see that the error is there, but it's not defined. So let's go to the upload image to make sure that we don't have some funny error there. So if we go to upload image, that's in the helpers. So helpers, we just go to upload image. So here it's not really working. Oh, so this should be .catch actually. So yeah, so this should be .catch. So there was a bug in our code. So let's now retry it. So if we came here and actually submitted, you see that it fails and the error is still undefined. Let me reload it. So I'm gonna come here, choose some contacts, choose some picture. Then when we save, see the picture gets logged. You see that this file has a file name. So we can first try to use a file name here. So we can do something like file, here we can do file name. And then if it doesn't have the file name, let's use the regular date. So here we can do new date like this. Okay. So since we want all this to be a string, I'm just going to now use these backticks here. make sure it's what we are using across, like this. So for these dynamic params, we can pass them like this. Okay, so let's retry it. If we came, let's say we choose from gallery, choose one, submit. So let's go to a contact. So if we came here and added the picture, let's say we come here and add this picture, let's say we choose this one and save. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose some phone number. So let's say I choose this one, and then we click, I'm also going to turn it to true, and then we click submit. So we're gonna go ahead and try saving, and when it's done, you see that it navigates the detail, and now we have a picture on the contact. So this is good. This is all we wanted. Now if we go here, you note that our picture is not really showing, and that's because if we take a look at so if we come here, you see that the picture is not showing. That's because if we come here, you see that here we are doing a set local file, and then we are just passing params dot the URL basically. But if you look at this component, so let's go to the component, you see that we are only showing local file dot path. So we need to have path there. So if we don't have path, we can just try to show the local file like this and save. So when I save that, you see that now it shows. But every time I change now, let's say I come in and change it to, let me change it to this. I'm gonna choose. See that now it changes to the updated one. Now if we choose, let's say Bahrain from here and then submitted, it's gonna go ahead and save. So when it's done, it's gonna come here, you see it's updating, and now it's updated. If we come here, we should find the one that we just uploaded. So this is good. This is all that we wanted. Now let's go ahead and change the title here to update contact every time we are updating contact. So you guys already know we can do that by using the set params. So we can go to our create contact. So here we can have a simple, actually here we can have set options. So we can get set options from use navigation like this. So set options. So here you can say set options. Then we want to change the title. So you can say update contact and save. So when we are here, you see it's update contact. Now when we come via this place, let's say we come from here, you see it's create. If we come from here, you see it's update. Okay, so one thing you'll notice that we are not doing correctly here is the country code whenever you're sending it to the backend. So for example, if I came here, let me come to a new contact. Let's say we came to this one, and then let's say we change the picture like this. Let's click here, then choose it, and then we try to submit. You see that it's going to go ahead and work fine, but there is going to be an error. You see on the server we get the country code is not being sent. So that's because we don't have phone code in our form. Now we want to go here and make sure we are setting the phone code when a user doesn't change this. So we can do that by coming here. Yeah, so we can come here whenever we set the form and also set the phone code to our country code. So we can do phone code to this country code here, so that our app still works in all situations. So now let's say we came to that and then go to edit. Let's say we only change the picture. So I'm gonna come and change only the picture and save. Then I'm not gonna be touching here, and then we click save. I want to actually console log here, so we see if we have, so we see what the request payload looks like. So here, actually it's in the edit. So if we go to the edit, so I want to come here and console log the request payload, so we see what it looks like, and save. Let's remove these console logs, we don't need them. Even this, I believe it's already working. So now if you come here and try to save, you see that for the, oh, it's still failing. You see that here in the request payload, we have the contact picture, we have the country code, we have the first name, we have the phone number, we have almost everything actually. Why is it failing? So let's console log the error here. So let me do console log error. Let's see, let's try again. Can't find variable navigate. Let's make sure we still have navigate. Oh, sorry guys, this should be navigate. So now if we came and just submitted without changing anything, you see it updates and we come here. If we came back, you see things are good. If we came and changed the picture, let's say we changed this, let's use our logo and saved, you see it's gonna go ahead and save and redirect properly. Okay, so that's gonna do it here. You see it also updates here even when we are not making another call because of what we did in the reducers. So yeah, so that's gonna do it for this one. If you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.